This is Radio TV Phono Nut, and if you know anything about old radios, you're probably familiar with these. This is a Guild Country Belle radio that's obviously made to look like an old wall telephone. These were made for a number of years and came in several variations. There was the AM-only tube version and an AM-FM tube version. And I'm told there was even an AM version that had an intercom built in it. And then there were several knockoff versions made over the years. And I'll now show you an example of one of those. Here's an example of a knockoff version. This is an Audition brand, which was the house brand for Woolworth. This is an 8-transistor battery-operated model made in Japan, I think from the mid-60s. And there was also a very similar looking tube knockoff version. In fact, years ago I had one of them, got rid of it. Here's the chassis in the Japanese version. Has a nice ferrite rod antenna and looks like it would probably be a decent performer. It runs off of 4C batteries, but one of the battery contacts is missing. We'll have to come up with one of those. And we'll repair this one later, but right now I want to focus on the Guild radio. And sitting here looking at these two, the memories are coming back to me as far as the tube knockoff version I had. I think I probably got it when I was in my late teens. I was at an elderly lady's house. I don't even remember why I was there. Probably doing something to her television, and she had this old telephone radio on the wall, and she turned it on, and it played, and of course it was kind of dusty and dirty and crusty from being in a kitchen. I asked her what she'd take for it, and she said, make me an offer, and can't remember, I think I offered her $25 for it, which at that time was a fair price, and she let me know right away quick she wasn't that hungry, so I left and forgot about it. About 6 months later, she called me and said, if you want that radio, bring me $25 and get it out of here. So I went over there and bought it. I guess somebody convinced her it wasn't valuable, or she figured out wasn't anybody else going to give her a fortune for it, so she decided to sell it to me. Alright, back to the Guild radio. This is the AM-FM version. Now I'm going to open this up and show you something a little strange about this one. Now when I got this, someone had cut off the power plug and had the power cord taped up inside the radio, so I don't know whether they did that because the radio stopped working, maybe something went up in smoke, or they just simply didn't want the kids plugging it in and playing it, so they just cut the cord off and hid it where couldn't nobody get to it very easily. Alright, let me open this up and show you what's odd about this particular model. Here's what's unusual about it. This is an AM-FM set with a solid state chassis and even has some integrated circuits on it. One here and one here. I feel like this is probably an audio amplifier. This is probably something to do with the IF if I had to make a guess. And best I can tell, this was made in 1974 and looks to be a USA-made chassis. Now, I didn't know Guild was around that late. I thought they were gone by the mid-60s, but apparently they were still around into the mid-70s, and the cabinet on this looks just like the older AM tube version from the 1950s. Alright, I'm going to slap a plug on this thing, and we're going to plug it in and see what happens. Alright, here's our replacement plug installed. I like to tie a knot in the power cord to give it a little strain relief before I connect these. Most of these I find don't have a knot tied, and the only thing holding the power cord is the terminals themselves, and tying a knot here gives it a little bit of resistance. So we just put our cardboard front cover over here, protective cover, and we'll go plug this in and see if what happens. Okay, I have 120 volts applied, and we're about ready to run the smoke test. Well, no smoke, but static. That's a good sign.
Communicate, cooperate, I like to say. Absolutely. One of my mottos. And like I said,
help the students. The American College Fund.
Facilities and...
Smart choice is to cut the cable. If the 70.
Well, AM seems to work. What about FM?
Maybe you just want to give one gift all at once. That'd be $180.
Ooh, there's our mumble rap on our vintage Guild Country Belle telephone.
Running out of it. Russ Dickerson says his newest hit, Every Little Thing, was written about somebody special.
Smackdown, Friday night Smackdown, only on Fox. Thinking about .gov and register with selected service.
Once he gets going, he is usually really tough.
Wanted.com. Local jobs that work. I'm next to the left.
There's the classic country station. It's kind of hard to get, so... Alright, there you go. This radio seems to work. Doesn't seem to need any repair at all. I noticed one of our nuts is missing. And it's not good to only have one nut. You really need two of them, especially when bells are involved. But anyway, one of our bell retainer nuts is missing, so let me go dig through my junk and find one. And just tighten all this other stuff down for good measure. And spray the pots just for good measure, and this radio ought to be ready to hang on the wall. Alright, there we are back together. Works good. Now, as far as value of these radios, they're really not worth as much as a lot of people think they're worth. Why is that? It all goes back to the law of supply and demand. It doesn't matter that it's a radio made to look like an old telephone. Guild literally made millions of these things. They were very popular. They're still very common. In fact, they often show up on eBay by the dozens and at flea markets and various other outlets. So, you know, they're really not worth that much. This one here, I think I bought it off of one of the auction sites for, I think it was about $12 plus shipping. And the shipping would have been about, I don't know, 12 or 15, so under $30 I got this thing, and I think I was the only one who bid on it. So, but I see these all the time that people have them and they think they're worth hundreds of dollars, and if you try to tell them any different, then they think you're just trying to beat them out of their priceless antique.